to. So this is just one example, taking the care homes example of some of the work that's been going on within the Graham care homes. And I quite like this concept of relationship-centred care. If you want more information about this, go onto the Graham care home group website. There's lots of talk about it, but particularly about this connection between the residents with family and friends and care staff, and how technology is being used for people, some people, for example, with dementia who might enter care actually not knowing who they are, and how you can use technology to support their care in a better way. One of the schemes which has been expanded in Kent over the past year has been our Shared Lives scheme, which takes the model of micro-provision. So host families who are taking in people, older people maybe, people with learning disabilities, people with dementia, to come and live with them in their own homes. And we're exploring some of the challenges, I guess, which have come up so far are where host families have said, well, actually, I'm not getting any sleep at night now because the person with dementia, I'm worried about them maybe wandering, or the fact that I'm not being woken up if they're moving around and there's something I need to be doing. So we're doing some work with some of those smaller providers now, people living in their own homes offering this service, to think about how telecare solutions can be brought in, tailored around that individual's need, which makes life easier for those host families, but also much better quality of care for those people who are living there. We're doing some work at the moment too around our own telecare and telecare monitoring services. At the moment, we separately have a telecare monitoring service and we have a telecare installation service. And basically what this slide says is we've got these things going on, and it's very much based around the kit. It's around making sure the kit's in the right place. And some of the technology we've been using has been around certainly in Kent for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's very much based on a response service. So it's not terribly proactive, but what it does is we wait for an alert to come through. And if an alert comes through, the telecare monitoring service either let the relatives know or we'll flag it to the response services. So it's very much about a responsive service rather than a proactive service. And the kind of thinking that we want to get to, thinking about some of the concepts that Robert talked about earlier around self-care, self-management. What can people do for themselves? How can they use technology to support their own care? So it's kind of de-medicalising, almost de-social careising some of this technology, I guess, so that people are much more in control and can lead the lives they want to lead. So we're looking at these new kinds of creative technologies. The one in the middle there, you probably can't see it, is Just Checking. They're out in the exhibitor area outside, so go and have a look and see what they do around monitoring people who are moving around their own homes, and really are they wandering, how are they using the rooms in their house, and how can that inform an assessment process or help people to work out what kind of care and support they need. Really looking, lots of people here using their smartphones and tablets. How can we mainstream some of that into everyday life? And then more innovative things around GPS tracking, for example, is the kind of stuff we want to be getting into over the course of the next year. So using these kinds of new kinds of devices, really much more linking this into families and friends and networks. How can we connect communities? Earlier this year, we had a conference, the Care in the Digital Age conference, #KentDigiCare. Have a look there. There's loads of resources and all sorts of websites. Some of the workshops which took place are up there for you to have a look at if you want to see what that was about. So it's about connecting communities, connecting individuals, but also using the concept of the work we're doing around integrated health and social care and integration. How can professional teams also begin to interface with this kind of technology to make that connection with families? So this is the kind of direction we want to go in. Of course, we still want to use our more traditional telecare kit, our responsive kit, but we're hoping that that's going to become less what we talk about when we talk about telecare, but it's there to enhance and add to the work which goes on, so that actually the response and the rapid response, maybe from emergency services, becomes the line of last defence, and in fact we're kind of front-loading care in the community as our first option. So I think that's all I'm going to say. Thanks.
Okay, well that's it's really good that we've had this bit, I think, because we often forget about the care home end of the spectrum, and yet they're a really important element. And in fact, they probably need much more support in the care home, both from the health, but also from the other agencies to care for people and make sure that we can keep that energy going in the care homes. And actually, as some of the tweets were saying, you know, an older person with a positive view lives 7.5 years longer. Technology's meaningful. Let's expand the residents' capability. This is a new way of looking at things. This is the sort of environment that people would want to move to, not have to move to. How can we actually make sure that we're looking properly at safety? Things that we didn't do before. We used to have plastic floors that people could slip on. We used to have all sorts of other dark areas and no colour. This is about colour and light and about a place that people would want to be in. And how can we, and this wonderful idea of an innovative use of looking and smelling things within a nursing home, not an institutional feeling, getting into new intergenerational spaces. So I think this is really important if we're going to move away from, particularly towards the end of people's life, that actually we move away from this medically dominated model much more towards a person-centered, supported self-care. And I think it's really important that word supported it is in there, because otherwise it feels like you're just abandoning them. Not at all. I think that these care home staff in particular need quite a lot of support, because they have to make some of the difficult decisions about not using the emergency services. And often, because we don't support them in the right way, the 999, unfortunately, is dialed too often, and these people have these trips backwards and forwards to the hospital. So thank you both very much for those. We will come back to these issues. You will be able to talk about this and discuss this on your table, and we'll then have an interactive way of being able to talk in the second